everyone, I'm Erika Casupanan and welcome to Happy to See Me. In this week's episode, I am talking to Tai Trang, but before that, something I was happy to see this week. So I just got back from a short trip to New York City. It was a weekend trip with some of my girlfriends and we went to see some theater. And I ended up seeing Titanic, the off-Broadway musical. I'll be honest, I was not familiar with this before I got to New York, but it was highly recommended to me. And it's the story of the Titanic as told by Celine Dion to Celine Dion songs. And it was a blast. It was campy, it was outrageous, it was hilarious, it was joyful. I had so much fun. I want to go back and see it again, to be perfectly honest. So if you are in New York, I highly recommend it. It's Titanic, the musical, and I believe it's running until the end of September. And I'm not being paid to say this or anything. And also, if you are a RuPaul's Drag Race fan, Rosé is in it. And I was so starstruck being so close to Rosé, and Rosé was amazing. Truly, the whole cast was amazing. So go check out Titanic off-Broadway in New York City. Now, this week's episode, I'm so excited because we have another Survivor icon. Tai Trang is here from Survivor seasons 32 and 34. And for AAPI month, he was so generous to come to the podcast and tell the story of coming to America from Vietnam. And he goes into detail about what it was like fleeing the country, living on a boat with hundreds of people. And he went into a lot of very graphic details about what that experience was like. And I'm truly grateful that he was so willing to share all of that with me. Plus, he talks about his love for animals. He gives some tips for animal lovers. And we talk about how he is so popular with kids. And we actually have a young fan who is able to send Tai a message and ask him some questions. I hope that you will enjoy it. So without further ado, here is Tai Trang. I am so happy to see the beautiful Tai Trang. Tai, welcome to the podcast.
Oh my God. Beautiful? I'm not sure. You better reserve that for somebody else. Well, thank you. Here I am. Well, you should say talk about yourself. Look at your beautiful hair and your beautiful hair. Yeah, no, that's reserved for you. I am no, beauty is not something I describe myself. Funny, I'm like looking in my mirror from just recently. I say, God, like my face is that like like it's just weird. I say no beauty, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
On the show, you were technically a beauty, and looking at you now, you are beautiful. You also look the same as on the show, obviously a bit cleaner, but you have not aged at all since we have last seen you on TV. You are beautiful, Tai.
Well, thank you. That was a surprise when Jeff said I was on a beauty track. When I saw all the beautiful around me, I said, "Oh shoot, what would you about that?" But it is. But like about my age, yeah, Asian don't age, right? And then suddenly the age really quickly and short. And I think, but do you know that I lie? I mean, I lied with the try. Like I went on Survivor when I was 51. I told everybody I was 41. So that was like many years ago. So I just had my birthday. So yeah, I'm like on my late 50 now, which is crazy. I always thought I was like 35. That's in my head, in my 30. But now, like, but maybe I'm still in my 40 now, but I'm not in my 50. Never feel that way.
Did people believe you when you said you were in your 40s?
Yeah, I think so. But I did try that the last night, before we went to the final tribal, I said, I want to come clean. I'm actually 51. By that time, people see me just who I am. I think that's a scary part with survivors. That the age is like survivors are very ages. Like as soon as you think that anybody above like 40, they think, oh, you. The old survivor, maybe the old school, but even now I think as soon as it's so scary, it's so sad. People think you're like in your 40, like you past your prime or something, but they forgot. You have a lot more offer experience. You have a lot of social skill, and no, you have a lot more offer, and you're more stable. You can see things. I mean, look at Cherie. Look at well, wait a minute. Maybe she's young. I don't know, but it's just ages. Like yeah, so you have to lie, but I think just like anything else, like just like the way we see people as we have everybody have their subconscious bias, first impression. But then as soon as you get to know somebody, all those pretense are out. They just see who you are. So yeah, to answer your question, by the end of it, people are like, who care? Like you could be 41, you can be 51, who care? They hate me by that time already anyway. So they didn't care.
It is funny because I feel like sometimes there is that bias, right? I remember being in my early 20s and meeting someone who was 26 and thinking, wow, they are old. Now I'm 33, and I feel like the older that I get, the more I realize age is really just a number. And there are so many people I know in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s who still feel like they're so youthful. Like I definitely do not feel like I'm old. I can't believe I thought 26 was old. And I feel like, Tai, you're one of those people who feels like they are always going to be a young person who's full of energy and full of heart. Do you agree?
Wow, my at night when I can't sleep in the middle of the night, then my body says, "Oh, you shouldn't be push your body too much." Yeah, I think I mean, I'm still doing everything. Like when I was in my 20 or 30, I'm still going hiking. I'm still running. Yeah, I think I agree. I think I mean, we really just like everybody say you can't really pretend like people say they get bad at it or whatever, and like they didn't show who they are. But it's the survivor side. You are so out there. You're so vulnerable. You strip bare. Like you have to whatever people shows up. I mean, I feel like the show from my experience, people. I mean, people show pretty accurate what the show that producers show they can't really show the stories might be slightly warped, but the person itself is pretty truly who they are, I think. Yeah. But before I forget, by the way, congratulations. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Erika, you make us so proud. I'm finally gonna meet you, and we never talk, we never connect. So thank you for inviting me to the show, and congratulations. You're like first Canadian, first woman in Canadian, and you're great. So I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. That really means a lot. I feel like, yeah, we've messaged a little bit over the time since I've become a Survivor alum. And it's so weird because I feel like once I've seen you on screen, I'm like, oh, I know this person, even though I only feel like I know you from watching TV. But I totally am like, yeah, that's Tai. I know him. And it's so cool to hear that you felt like you were accurately shown on TV. Is there an element of your personality that you wish made the show on either of your times when you were on a season?
I felt like I was show really well. I was happy what I seen. I think I was happy. I mean, especially my first season, I got so much screen time. It felt like I'm hogging a lot of screen time. I don't know. I think producers, I thought I felt really fortunate. I have a really good positive. I mean, watching it, I have so much fun. It's not to do with the show or anything. I just like here I am again speaking to you right now. I'm not a very articulate person. I can't express my what I'm trying to say too well. I'm gonna blame it on my language, but I've been here in America more longer than ever. But I still the language thing, and I'm just not very articulate. So that's one thing I wish I do a better job explain my game explain my game. But social skills fine. Everybody, I'm able to hang out with anybody. Young Julia, she's 18 or something at that time. Like I'm able to hang out with everybody just to speak in what I game wise. It was hard for me to explain myself. And oh my God, every time I like during tribal, like I'm so terrified when with Jeff would call on me, I would not be able to say. And but for you, you're like with your communication, like you're like amazing, fantastic. Like you how you explain your game was just that's so just so great. I mean, I wish I have that skill. I wish that's one thing I wish I'm able to articulate myself better.
Thank
But
you.
yeah,
Thank you, Tai.
no. Like seriously, that it is about how you sell yourself. I mean, the game and in the game, like the final tribal or any time you're able to spin it, not spinning, like you just. I mean, a lot of people are able to spin everything. What like that's an impressive skill, but you have to have the meat to justify it, and you do when you explain your game and make it clear.
You communicate so clearly, and it's partially because of what you're saying, but then also I feel like the way that you operate, there's so much heart to it. And I think that yes, Survivor is a complicated game. It's a lot more complicated than people see on TV. But I think that the reason why one of the reasons why you resonated with the audience and people were really able to support you and fall in love with you is because you show much heart and you show so much authenticity, and are unapologetic about who you are and what you're into. And I think that with that and with those genuine qualities, I think that communicates so much about you to the world.
People ask me, it's funny. People ask like, how do you get on the show? Like what? Like I should just say. I mean, CBS Survivor want everybody. Like you just be who you are, to be authentic yourself. So like that, just be who you are. Like just be your just because that's the only thing you can rely on. You can't pretend. That's the only thing. And they're gonna people love you or people hate you, but at least you're genuine. Authentic yourself. So.
Yes, and I think that people also loved you because we had never really seen someone like you on Survivor before, because it's clear you have, well, one, you are beautiful, you are smaller in stature, you are nimble,
Oh no.
you are so positive, you're full of love, and at the same time you have gone through this life journey that has required so much perseverance, and you've gone through a lot of things that I think are hard for a lot of people to comprehend, yet you remain so positive and you remain so generous. And it's hard to believe someone like you exists and is on a game like Survivor, where yes, there's the manipulating and the backstabbing, and you did so well. So I'm so privileged to talk to you right now, and I would love to talk to you about your life journey coming to the US. I know that this interview is going to air during AAPI month, and you have such an amazing story. So I would love to dig into that if you're okay with that. So I wanted to ask you about the experience of leaving Vietnam. This was something that we heard a little bit about on the show, but can you tell me a bit more about what that whole experience was like?
Oh my God, that's like so long ago. But it seems so long ago, but seems so fresh too.
Mm-hmm.
Can we go back even before I left Vietnam? So yeah, I mean, I was born in. I mean, this gonna be a problem for you. I was born in 1964. Like most of you guys have not even exist. Like, um, and the war. All my childhood life is living through the war. Like we live in Saigon, a little Chinatown outside Saigon. Uh, my whole life, all we hear is bombing. Like it's not quite near, but like we at night, sometime middle of the night, my mom would just say, "Go underneath the go." We sleep on a, like in Asian family, we used to like sleep on like a plank. I'm sure you like in the Philippines too. Like you just have a straw mat and you sleep on a plank. We were poor too, so that's all we have. Like the whole. I have 10 brothers and sister and grandmother. It's like 14 of us live on this little house. And middle of the night, my mom would say, go sleep underneath the bed in case the bomb go, and then the roof would go down, and then we'll be protected by the bed itself. Anyway, so 1968, Tet Offensive, the wall came down all the way to where we lived. They bombed the river. I got hit even on it. We were running like crazy. I got hit. I have a little shrapnel on my thing, and that's my childhood, right? Luckily, I was fine. 1975, Tet Offensive. The war over, and we lived another 5 more years. And like we were so poor, we like nothing to do. And then like all the kids are going like, communism, like communists took over. Like the North come down to the South. Like there's no food, nobody. Like the whole country should basically shut down. only we like I go to school and then the classes the teachers say what's happening at home you report in your family basically like it's all indoctrinating like to communism like Ho Chi Minh is great and everything you're not really learning anything and all you do is just report about what's happening around the house back to the official so report on your family and then people start leaving Vietnam because like you have to like 6 months we didn't have any rice. I mean, let's say it's terrible. Like we were hungry, and then my family just said, "Let's leave Vietnam." So at that moment, I mean, some of you guys might have heard of boat person, like boat people. There's a whole wave of like by 79, the war ended 75. By 77, 78, 79, 80, like people start. Vietnam is a long, skinny country. It's a beautiful country, long, skinny. It's all coastline. So people have a lot of boat, like fishermen. So they just say, get on the boat. We can go to some freedom. Like we were political refugees at that time. We were running away communism. So people just get on the boat. So we, by 79, say, let's get on the boat. Like we get on the boat. Like suddenly we show up and my mom knows some captain and a boat, and we went on, and like 262 people on this fishing boat, like 260 people on this like tiny little boat. I don't know how it fit. Like we were sitting like this, like sardine, like sitting like this. My family, my whole family, and somehow we grabbed grandmother. Grandma was 84 years old. They put her on the boat too. Like we literally get snuck middle of the night, get on this boat and left Vietnam. 3 boats left the same time.
And all 14 people in your family were on the same boat?
Yeah. No, my oldest brother and oldest sister left before us. We don't know where they go. They left like 6 months before. So we were on this boat. And I got separated from my family. I end up at the bottom of the boat. Have you ever gone on any boat? It's usually diesel engine is fishing boat. So like the fumes are crazy. We're at the bottom. So they're hollow. And we sat at the bottom where they put the fishes are. So we were just sitting there like stuck, and then like we just left. And then I don't know. We left the end of July. That's when typhoon season start. Like nobody go out in the ocean at that time. Like we like, and somehow they decided to go. So we went. We have an opportunity like to go. And then first night out, first day out, like for like this woman sit next to me. I don't even know where anyone in my family. We just run on the boat and then they just laugh. I have no idea where my families are. This woman sit next to me. She's like, I just remember even now. Think about it. She's like, keep like I was 13. Yeah, I was 13. And she was a little bit older. She's in her 20s. She got so seasick and she kept throwing up. This is kind of gross. She started vomiting. She got seasick on me, like constantly.
Wow.
And then we were living like at a little porthole, so the water kept coming down and wash me. And then she kept throwing up. And by the next day, she threw up so gross that it's like I even remember now, like bile wow. Green. That's all she had. Anyways, this is so gross. So we were on it, like have no idea. We're out. We didn't see the sun for the next 8 days. So at that time, like most people take like 3 days to get somewhere freedom, like Indonesia, Malaysia, Hong Kong, anywhere but Vietnam. Like, but we floating out the next 8 days. But I guess so people just assume we're gonna be gone for 3 days, right? Out in the ocean, go to Hong Kong and Indonesia. But so the little 3 day later, the second day later, a woman, this is when I'm first ever, we grew up in poor, but I never experienced that time. We never encountered a lot of rich people in Vietnam. We were like, my family is so poor, we just like go to the dam and get food for the chicken. We raise chicken in Vietnam and we go to the dam and get, so sometimes we like the food good enough, we eat it ourselves. So our circles like that, right? But so I remember on the boat, this woman, we were on 262 people on this like 30 meter, like 26 I don't even know how big is that, 26-meter boat or something. And she like asked the captain to give her daughter fresh water to take a shower.
Wow.
That's my first time ever I experienced class. She said, "Oh, it's just like on vacation." Meanwhile, nobody had water on this freaking boat. Like literally the next day after she did that afternoon, the captain said, "Oh, we're not going anywhere. We don't know where we're going. There's no engine. The boat have tiny little engine. We just flow with the current." So then get rid of everything, no food, nothing. And then literally the next day, they literally give everybody like a sip of water. And we lasted for the next 8 days.
Wow.
It's crazy. And then, yeah, so we float, don't see water. And then on the eighth day, this is crazy. On the eighth day, we still like, I mean, the storm was big, but on the eighth day, we saw this weird, like beautiful, like lots of light. It turned out like it's an I think it was Singapore, like oil drilling platform. And then they let us get on to the little island. And then that night, rain was crazy, coming down like crazy. And then if we were outside, we would have sank that time. And then my grandmother, get on, and then the next day they say, "Oh," so people were so starving. They're like taking people left Vietnam, so they take all the jewelry with them. So they literally exchange the gold ring for a bowl of rice because at that time people were starving. And so we didn't have anything. Grandmother, we begged some people to give grandmother some soup, hot porridge. The next day they took everybody on the boat. They tow us out and they cut the rope. Like literally, they say we take you to refugee camp, but literally they take us out their territory. They cut the rope and we float for another 3 more days. It's crazy. And then I know at that time and then that day my grandma died. I guess she got all rain because we're all soaked up. She died, and then 3 days later we end up with this island, Indonesia. I think it was Indonesia. It looked completely different. And then we end up with people jump off the boat, they dig a big hole, the boat sank, and we lived there like Survivor. We lived literally off the island for a whole week without nobody knows there. And then eventually they found us there, they took us to refugee camp. And I was in Indonesia refugee camp for another year, just waiting to apply to come to anywhere who take us in. And my family have we have lots of kids, so a lot of country would want to take us in to be educated, to be productive society of their citizen. So at that time, you're a refugee, you can go anywhere.
Wow. So you were 13 at the time, so you must have been old enough to understand what was happening. With your younger siblings who are still children, did they understand why you were on this crazy journey on the ocean?
I was when we left, like my mom didn't tell any of the kids because they're worried about they're gonna report back to the official and then we'll be captured. So we did prepare for it. I was the only one that knew about none of my young. I was the oldest of. I'm number 6 of the 11 kids.
Wow.
So there's 5 younger brothers. We have like I have 5 sisters, 5 brothers. I'm middle. Jokingly, I say, well, that's why I become gay because I'm middle. I'm right in the middle, like old woman, sister and brother. No, none of the kids know because my mom was worried, and I think there's a lot of trauma. I think I still either do, I don't know, either do the trip or something. There's some trauma. I see that in some of my younger brother, which is really sad. Like to this day. But we don't, I don't know, we don't, I can't set blame or anything. But it's really weird. And also, even, I'm telling you, there's another class story. Like, people who might have money, I mean, it sounds I'm more aware of it, but that's just like really consciously like brought it to me. Cause I remember when we were in refugee camp, you have money, like you can hire somebody to dig a well for you, and you can get fresh water there next to where we all live in a camp, like right. But if you don't have money, like you have to go like walk like maybe a mile to get fresh water to come back to your camp. You live like a refugee.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember like people have money, dig a well, and then put a lock on it so nobody can get to it. Like I would say, wow, people that there's definitely people have the wealthy people are not as nice. They don't share their stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I stayed in Indonesia for a year, and then and then I came to San Jose, California. That at that time it's like a big wave of refugee came in, but the one thing we were lucky actually, lucky that at that time during that time. People left Vietnam on the boat. A lot of piracy that like you heard about. You Google boat Vietnam. A lot of Thai pirates, they're fishermen, but they know Vietnamese come out, so they become pirate. And we were so worried. Like my mom, I have like four sister who just a little bit older than me. My mom cut all their hair short to make them look like
Wow.
boys because at that time there's so many stories. Thai pirate would come and they get all the women, they rape them and they take them with them and they left like they kill off the doe. And then they let the boat or the kid just like float on the empty boat. Like it's crazy.
Wow.
But that's so yeah, mom like yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff. There's so much more, a lot more detail. I don't want to bore you because there's a lot crazy like the detail. People saying, "Oh, you should write a book." I say, "No," but it's crazy. Like there's so many of us. That's why the Vietnamese communities are everywhere because at that wave of movement, like between 78 and 81, I'm right middle of it. That's where there's people end up in France, Australia, Germany, like the oddest places, because that the whole big wave of Vietnamese boat person leaving.
Was your whole family able to come to San Jose?
Yes, yeah, we were sponsored by a Baptist church. Yeah, yeah, and then we connect to my older brother and older sister. They went in three different boats, like so we connected back. They were in Texas, and we all connected. Yeah, lucky,
Wow.
we very very lucky. I mean, to this day, I'm still counting. Like I'm so lucky that we were able to get out. You know, I went back with Mark like 6 or 7 years ago, and it's so weird. Like we went back to my old house, and I remember, and watching the way people live. I'm keep comparing myself. It's really weird. Like there's this guy selling like a little like street food pancake on the street, and I say, oh, if I did not leave Vietnam, this would be my life. And there's a really good chance I'll be the person that's selling little cake for 50 cents to people on the
Wow.
street. And I have no doubt that would be my life. It's so, it's so foreign to me seeing it, but it's so close to home. This would be my life. So I compare that, but I'm also like, people say, Vietnam, but that's not. I'm not that. America is my home. San Francisco is my house now. But there's something I still have that big connection. Like
Of course. Yeah, it
yeah,
makes sense. That's where your family is from. That's where a lot of your childhood was. It makes sense for you to have that connection. And I could only imagine after going through that experience, being a teenager and then coming to America, it was probably a shock for you, right? What was one of the hardest things to adjust to once you got to America?
I'll tell you when I landed on the plane. I mean, when we landed. We didn't get to travel like regular airline. They took us on like on one of the military plane. But I
Wow.
remember that they gave me like a big red apple and a bar snicker or something. And I was like, oh, I gotta save this for later. I didn't bear to eat it, like, because I was like, wow, this is such a treat. Um, and we landed in San Jose Moffett Field. You gotta know the Bay Area. Moffett is just like a grassland. It's like a big giant hangar, and that's it. Like no, I say, God, this is so ugly. America is so ugly. This is like I expect high rise, and yeah, no, but
Yeah, what was the big challenge in getting accustomed to America?
I'm very adaptable. like I remember come to, I think we arrived in March. It was cold. And then literally like a week later or something, I walked into a high school. Like I was 14 and I walked in like it's like second semester of my high school. Like like without a word of English, right? I can say hello, thank you, and that's it. And this is like a regular high school. I don't know how I adapted, but we do have language class. But I remember going to math and chemistry, and I think our education like a year ahead of American education. So I was able to I know the material already. So just learning how to say it. But other than that, and then I don't know. I am. It's funny we talk about immigrant community, right? We always I'm a little bit I'm an odd person. Like I don't like at that time I was pretty involved with the Vietnamese student body. I'm involved with we have the Vietnamese club, but I'm not the person. I usually don't hang out. I usually branch. It's just my personality. I branch out. I was like you proud me for this. I was so I'm always into drawing and painting. I actually do a lot of painting, and people don't know, but I do a lot of studio work. And I told my teacher, I like instead of at lunchtime, instead of hanging out with all the Vietnamese kids, because at that time it's like Vietnamese kid hang out, Vietnamese kid, Latino kid hang out, and this is how bad it is. The school is so segregated. We have four quadrants, right? We have a white like A, B, C, and D, right? All the Latino kids and Vietnamese kids, like they literally have separate class. Like it's completely segregated. I don't know how they're able to. This is in San Jose Independent High School, right? Literally, all the white kids would go to this area, all the black kids would go to this. It's crazy. But anyway, for me at that time, instead of go hang out with me, I'm always hang out the art with my art studio teacher, and that's what I am. I don't. I cross over, but usually I'm just do my own thing. And you'll be proud of this because I say we should have an art class. So I think after 2 years come to America without a word of English, I started an art club in my
Wow.
school. I was the president. That's crazy, right? Anyway, I don't know why I said.
So where do you think this positivity and, this positive, let's just make it happen, let's just talk to anybody, where do you think that attitude came from?
I, I don't know. I don't know. I'm always the person, even in my family. Well, maybe I'm just so full of myself. I don't know. Not in that. I don't know. I just do it when I see things like when I cook. I mean, I never test recipe or anything. I see something, I say, I bet I can do that, and I look it up and I just do it. I don't test anything. I don't. I just go for it. I mean, I'm like, what can go wrong? I'm making it. Like I'm talking about. Let's say I'm cooking, right? I just say, let's say I'm bombed it, but hey, you're my guest. I'm cooking for you. I'm trying to. I mean, I don't. I just do it. I don't worry about failure. I don't know. It's like where does that come from? I think we are born with think. People think I'm just so callous too. Maybe I don't careless or something. I don't know. Like in a way, I need to maybe I need to double check myself a little because
Oh,
I'm just
no.
I'm humble.
Hmm.
I never say this is great. Like
Hmm.
I never say taste it. This is great. I say I'm making this food. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
But but if you don't, too bad. I'm making it for you because I like you, whatever. But I never, what I'm saying? I don't know. And
Yeah.
then being Asian is a weird thing. Like we're born not to say that we're good at something. It's good and bad.
There's like a level of humility that I think is common in a lot of Asian cultures. I think it's similar in the Philippines too, where there's a level of pride, but then there's also always the level of humility, the level of respect for
Yeah,
everybody. So yeah, it's an interesting balance, and I think especially growing up in a culture that respected humility, it's very different coming to the US, where I think that it's much more individualistic and everyone is like, woo, look at me. Also, no offense to anybody in the US.
well, that's why. Um, I don't know, but people ask me, how come you're not on social media and stuff? Because I feel like I'm just a guy. I'm like, I don't want to. This, what I mean, I do a lot of different things, but I say, well, you should share that. I say, no, everybody do an interesting thing. Like, I don't need to share. I don't know. It's like I'm a little bit shy about stuff like that, but it is humiliating. I mean, I'm not afraid of doing things, but I'm not gonna say I'm great at anything, But it's yeah, it's let's go back with Survivor, okay?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
don't sell yourself well, people not gonna be think you great. So I don't know. Like for the game, I think you really need to sell yourself, like especially to explain yourself or whatever, like you it's. I mean, people think you're bragging or arrogant or whatever, but I don't know. Maybe something wrong with our society, how we celebrate people who really gung ho, like what, right? I mean, I don't know. We should say, hey, we.
I think a lot about that too, right? I think, especially having been an Asian woman on reality TV, where I think certain traits get celebrated, and then other traits, I think it's easy for people to dismiss them or to think that they're not really playing the game, even though being socially aware and being adaptable, like yourself, are really important in the game. I don't know if I'm being biased, but I do think that certain traits are probably great in certain situations. But I think that what someone like you brings to the table is you make people feel something, and you make people feel inspired or hopeful or feel a bit of joy. And I feel like that really has impact beyond just, a season of a TV show. I want to ask you about the fan reception of you, because I know that you've been really popular with kids. I don't know if this is something that you expected, but I do have a message for you that I want to share, because there's a young fan in Canada who he's just a huge fan of yours. So I want to read you a message that he sent me to share with you.
Sure. Wow.
Dear Tai, my name is Charlie. I'm 10 years old and I live in Ottawa, Canada. I just started watching Survivor with my family, and the first season I watched was season 32 with you in it. You are my favorite Survivor ever. I really like how you played the game with a lot of honesty and a little bit of sneakiness. I really liked how you cared for Mark the chicken and made him the first chicken to ever make it to the final tribal council. If I had $50,000, I would give money to an animal charity like Sia did for you. I just got a puppy dog puppet and named him Tai instead. I was so happy when you appeared in season 34 called Game Changers, and I'm so impressed with how many idols you found. I think you are full of good luck and great skill. I hope you play Survivor again and keep being a nice guy. Your fan, Charlie.
Oh,
So how does it feel?
that's so sweet. Yes. Oh, that's so sweet. Where's Ottawa? Like, is it East or West Coast?
So it is a bit east of Toronto, and it's the capital of Canada.
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed.
Oh, it's
Anyway,
okay.
thank you, Charlie. That's very sweet. Yeah.
How does it feel to know that you have resonated with so many kids? Is that something that you expected to happen?
I did not. I did not. I think I don't know. I'm trying to figure out too. Like you are right. I am kid. Some reason kids really drawn to me. I think maybe I'm not the typical survivor player. So I don't look the same,
Mm-hmm.
and I sound so odd. It's funny because I never hear myself until I saw myself on the show. Like say, oh my God, my accent. Like I think I'm like, yeah. I hear myself perfect English, but then when I saw the show, like sometimes the subtitle me, which is great. But I think because I'm just different, I think kids just like. I mean, and the stuff I do, and I don't know. I have fun. I have fun doing it. Yeah, kids do like me. I mean, like kids drawn to me. I seen kids all the time. I work as a gardener along the waterfront in San Francisco, and there's a lot of tourists. Like lots of people recognize. I'm very recognizable. I
Mm-hmm.
look the same. I sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working out there, and people come to me all the time. And kids really drawn to me. So I guess maybe kids just kids are all feel some kid. I don't have any kids, so maybe I don't know, but I assume kids feel a little. Sometimes I feel they're slightly different, like than everybody else. So I am different, so they kind of relate to it, and also Mark. Come on, Mark the chicken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, Charlie. I think someone corrected me. Mark chicken is not the first one that make it to the season without like, oh, that's another one. I don't know. But Mark's the one that went to the final tribal, like definitely the first one that went to the final
Yeah.
tribal.
It's incredible that you're in this position where you can inspire kids and you can bring kids joy. And it's clear, Charlie, and I'm sure many kids, they love that you are such a nice person. And I'm so happy that that's the representation that's on TV that people are attracted to. And I will say, Charlie also sent me 2 questions to ask you. So I've got to ask you.
Yes, please, yes.
So the first question is, do you have any pets?
Yes, I have. Sadly, we don't have more chicken. Like we used to have chicken all the time here, but the raccoon really get to them, so I'm no more chicken. But we have 3 cats: Emma, Ume, and Mimi. Emma is like 18 years old. She went deaf. We did not know she went deaf until recently. Say, I don't think she can hear when we open up the can of cat food. But Ume is her name is Japanese pickled plum of Ume Brucey. That's Ume. And then Mimi is a black cat. We can't find her most of the time because she went hiding and she's so black we can't see her. And other than her beautiful green eyes. Yes, 3 cats. And we love cats. We like dog too, but we like cat better. Sorry.
Okay, that might relate to the next question from Charlie.
Okay.
If you could be an animal, what animal would you be?
Oh, I totally know this. I want to be a duck. I love
Really?
ducks. Yes. I don't know why I grew up raising duck. Like my first time when my first day I went to school, my mom said, "Come home, be a good teacher, be a good student, and I'll buy you a pet." And she bought me a duck, and that somehow stuck with me. And I've been raising duck all the way until when I left Vietnam. Ducks are very sweet animal. I don't know, they're able to swim and can I have 2? Can I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
2?
yes.
That I would be a pet duck. But if I were to a wild animal, I want to be a seagull because they're survivor, right? They can live out in the ocean. They can fly. They eat fish. They can also live in the garbage, like in San Francisco. Like they can go all the way to your land and look for a garbage dump and be survivors. So they'll survive like above any amount of animal because they're able to go out the ocean, go back into land. A seagull.
I do want to ask, are you still watching Survivor and how do you feel about the new era seasons?
Oh my God! Of course, I would still watch Survivor. How do I feel about it? It's a tough game. It's fast. It's fast moving, right? So you on
41.
41. Yeah, I think the game moves so much faster than I do like all the at one point I said, oh, might be too many switch back and get and I changed my mind. I do like all the advantage, and it's just really hard to keep track, and especially for you guys when you're playing, you don't know, like, oh my God, like so fast and you don't have time to figure it out either, so it's a different game. I mean, so I don't know, I do like, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Watching it, I don't miss too bad of the 39 day, but for both my season, I stay into like 39 day. The first one, 38 day, literally 39 day, right? I think it does. It's a different game. It kind of my body. Like I know. So the new area, you cut out 30% of the staying, but you cut out 13 day. That the last 13 day of my season was pretty tough. I think it's tough for every other player, to be honest. To be at that time, a lot of paranoia. I had a lot of time to work things, like to develop, like all the little paranoia. Had a lot more time to stew on it, and everything become crazy. I just remember like when I was in Game Changer, I was doing a puzzle, or like one of the fitted puzzles. I know exactly how the puzzles need to look for. I know the logic. I just can't do it. Like my brain was just so like I need like so depleted without I can't think it straight. Even though I know the logic, I couldn't do it. So I think you missed that part of physical, like the challenge of physical. I know like I didn't get any reward from at the end of both my season. So I think that does a lot contribute to part of the game that's missing because your physicality, but then replacing that with all the fast movement. So I don't know. It is what it is. I do like it. I'm watching it.
And what are you up to now?
What do I have to? I'm just, since I came back from Survivor, literally when I came back from Survivor the next day, like came back on the weekend or something, and then literally next day I start going back to work. My life's not really changed hardly. I mean, I don't do much. I mean, I'm working as a gardener. I'm still doing that. What am I up to? I'm a beekeeper. I think you might know. Spring's here, so for a couple of things, my big thing for me is that I'm a beekeeper, and I've been doing that for 20 years. And I'm a swarm catcher for the city, like one of the few, like maybe 6 of us for the whole city, San Francisco. So if you live in San Francisco, you say a swarm shop in your backyard, there's a chance I show up. Because I did that one time, and this old woman, and she said, I know it somewhere. And by the time I go there, I shake the bee into a box, and I help her remove this. We volunteered to do it. And finally she said, oh my God, you're that guy. You're that kid on Survivor. That was really happy. So it happened.
Well, Tai, I hope that you start to put the work you do with the bees on social media, because I feel like that's really interesting. But then I feel like if you do that, people are going to start attracting bees to their property just so they can come to meet you. So
No, I don't know. I don't do social media too much. It's just too I don't know, too much work for me. I don't. I guess it's cool to put stuff on social media. But just not me. I'm not. But everybody should go and do things. It's kind of fun. Like just obsess about it. Like I like people how have passion and not just passion. I want people really obsess about whatever they're doing. Like you want to make pizza, be obsessed about making pizza. Like you want to be really geek out about it. So I have a lot of respect for that. Like be obsessed about it. But yeah.
Truly, I'm always a proponent of just like whatever you like, as long as you're not hurting anybody, just go for it and nerd out on the things that you love. Okay, well, Tai, thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for being so generous about telling your story. I am so happy you took the time to chat with me today.
Thank you for inviting me. That is an honor.
I hope you enjoyed my chat with Tai Trang. There's so much to his life story. I feel like I only scratched the surface. I would love to have him back again for a future episode to talk about more. Let me know if you want to hear more from him. Thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, please like, rate, and review the podcast wherever you get the podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. It's Happy to See Me Pod. And follow the podcast on Instagram. It's at Happy to See Me Pod. Thank you so much for spending some time with me this week. I will talk to you next Monday.